How's it going, everyone? Today we're going to be looking at if my excitement of Strelitzia's return is based. It's my baby girl! As well as how she may have ended up in Quadratum and if she is even the real Strelitzia at all. And the answer to that is, it's complicated. Come on, look, it's Kingdom Hearts. I thought we all just assumed that at this point. Fear not, I took it upon myself to read the hours and hours and hours of Union Cross content so that you wouldn't have to. Savor this. I don't just read for anybody. You must be someone truly special. We'll begin our voyage at the events that take place prior to Strelitzia's disappearance from the world of Daybreak Town. 5 years prior to the events of Union Cross, we see the Master of Masters talking to Luxu. It is at this point that the Master begins to unveil information about the darkness for the first time, explaining that they can take the form of many, even sometimes us humans, hiding among us. And because they cannot be defeated right now, there is no hope for the world. That is why he tasked Ava with gathering the best of the best for when the world eventually ends and darkness consumes it. He goes on to explain that the new Union leaders as well as the Dandelions are in the data version of the real Daybreak Town, an example being the same as the data Twilight Town in Kingdom Hearts 2. Trust me, I know this data and realness can get a little bit tricky, but I'll do my best to try to make it understandable. Luxu voices concern, asking if they will be able to return to the real Daybreak Town after completing their task. Their task, again as the Master has stated, was to begin at Key, become unchained, and then return through Union Cross. And the Master goes on to say, well, maybe not all of them.
I beg your pardon?
He goes on to explain that darkness is all around and can even understand our language. We gotta be careful because they could even be watching right now. But as mysterious as darkness is, there is one thing that we know for certain, and that is darkness has a strong aversion for those pure-hearted. Luxu, again concerned, asks if the Dandelions will be okay. Considering there are hope to rebuild the world as well as being pure-hearted, what happens when they inevitably come face to face with darkness? Will they be okay? The Master again says what seems to be his favorite word, maybe. Nobody knows how darkness acts, and as it can be very unpredictable, anybody that comes face to face with darkness, regardless of who it is, will always have a hard time. Luxu, not having a copy of the Book of Prophecies, is concerned about the Dandelion's safety, and the Master of Masters is not only giving him vague answers, but also casually said, I skipped over the specifics when Luxu asked if the book told of the Union leader's safety. With all these conflicting thoughts, Luxu decides to leave it at that. Meanwhile, back in the time of Union Cross, with Dandelions fresh on his mind, Laurium realizes he hadn't spoken to his sister in a while. However, it seems that he cannot find her anywhere. He enlists the help of Elrena, who he thought was friends with Strelitzia. However, she states that they are not really friends, more so that they were just in the same party together on a few missions. However, the last time that she saw her was before the Keyblade War. Her Chirithy goes on to clarify that while speaking with Strelitzia's Chirithy, they saw her and her Chirithy walking into this abandoned building. While Laurium goes off to find more info about his sister, Elrena decides to check in the last place she was seen in search of possible clues. It is here where she runs into what appears to be a glitched version of Strelitzia, and she immediately informs Laurium about her findings. While this is going down, Brain is diving into the secrets of the world, trying to figure out what's causing all the glitching phenomenon. He goes to the surveillance room where he stumbles across information that not only is there a data version of Daybreak Town where they are all currently residing, but rather there are backup data versions of all the worlds as well, explaining why they can still travel to the different worlds after the war. They are not traveling to the actual worlds that have been separated. They are traveling to the data versions connected to the data Daybreak Town. During the Union leaders' next meetup, Skull and Ventus bring up the fact that they saw Ava glitching out in the conference room, which then led to Laurium and Elrena to do the same about Strelitzia. Brain begins to ponder this, showing everyone yet again the reason he is named Brain, and he deduces that there may not only be data copies of the worlds connected to Daybreak Town, but data of all the people in Daybreak Town as well. The reason that there wasn't copies of everybody walking around, however, is because the data must be secured and locked away. However, the glitching persons must mean that someone has accessed that specific person's data. Laurium, seeing even the slightest glimmer of hope, asks if it is possible for his sister to come back, to which Brain unfortunately responds, I do not know. Now, we know for a fact that Strelitzia has returned and is now in Quadratum, and I believe the key to Strelitzia's return lies in whoever accessed Strelitzia's data, and that person being the one in the black coat. Who are you? Well, I'll tell you who I think they are. Luxu. Remember back when Luxu was giving concerns about the Dandelion's safety, unlike the Master, who obviously couldn't care less. The Master told him, look, if you're really that worried, then by all means, I permit you to observe over them. However, you are not allowed to get your hands dirty. Quickly flash forward to when Luxu confronts one of the darknesses, they stated to him, you were told not to interfere, in which Luxu responds, yes, I'm not allowed to help the Union leaders, but this isn't for them. I'm doing this for myself. When the Master told him not to get his hands dirty, he specifically meant not to help them when they came face to face with darkness. And he told Luxu to observe so that he himself can see how they handled the situation. Because of course, wherever the no-name goes, the Master sees. And there could be some possible clues that the darkness shows him to help him in the future. More info is never a bad thing when getting to know one's enemy. However, with all this detail being revealed about the darknesses, Luxu knew something was wrong, and the Union leaders were in danger. Keep in mind, this conversation took place a whole 5 years prior to the events of Union Cross, meaning that while everything was unfolding, Luxu was observing the entire time. And because he was observing them, it's safe to say he saw everything that happened, even with Strelitzia. However, he couldn't interfere and do anything to help because, as I just said, the Master told him when the Union leaders come face to face with darkness, do not touch. Other than that, go nuts. As Luxu stated to the darkness, this is for myself. After seeing the tragedy happen before his eyes, he believed that she deserved better. And now that the darkness is no longer involved, he is allowed to interfere. Luxu is not the type to just watch people die if he can help it, as we see by his reaction to the Master's true plans. But he's not helping the Union leaders. Strelitzia is no longer a Union leader. And just like when he saved Brain, he's doing it for himself. Luxu accessed Strelitzia's data to retrieve Strelitzia, which again by default is a copy of Strelitzia's heart. He then wrapped her in a white cloak to prevent darkness from being drawn to her. The black coat is used for warding off the darkness, but the white coat, albeit still not confirmed what its purpose is, I believe is for completely hiding your existence from darkness so that it cannot track you. Just like how Ventus was wrapped in the white cloak. He had just recently had Vanitas stripped from him and his heart is now shattered and vulnerable. Being as pure-hearted as he was now with the darkness removed from his heart, the darkness would constantly be drawn to him, and in his broken and emotional state, he would be in severe danger. Laurium, when faced with the darkness that had struck his sister down, asked him why. Why was it Strelitzia? If it was just someone with a pure heart you wanted, why couldn't it have been any of us? Why did you pick her? To which the darkness responds, yeah, it could have been any one of you. Honestly, I have no idea why I picked her. I just did. The darkness also explained that as darkness, they just exist. There is no grander scheme behind their moves or actions. Every move they take, every action they make is just because. Combine that with the Master's information about how the darkness has a strong aversion to those of pure hearts, along with Laurium as well as countless others constantly talking about how Strelitzia's heart is so pure it's practically a gift. That would explain why the darkness was drawn to her out of the countless Union leaders. Strelitzia's heart quite literally shined brighter than anybody's, and unfortunately it served as a beacon for the darkness. And in order to prevent that, we needed to make sure that they would not target her again, hence why he put her in the white coat. Luxu then placed her in a lifeboat in the real world to send her into the future of Quadratum where he resides. Remember, the lifeboats in the digital world are used to return to the real Daybreak Town, while the lifeboats in the real Daybreak Town send you into the future. In order for one to travel through time using a lifeboat, they do not physically travel themselves into the future, or rather their hearts do. It is at the appointed time where both a medium as well as someone who contains memories of them do they reappear, and when this happens their body is reformed in that time period around their heart, as we see with Maleficent in Kingdom Hearts 2 when the 3 good fairies remember her name.
Maleficent!
No, we mustn't remember her name.
Oh no, the memories are coming back!
Again, as we all assume who this is with the Master of Masteries on top of the building in the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer, Luxu was there, providing both the memories and the medium. Luxu successfully saved Strelitzia. So at the end of all this, is this really Strelitzia? Yes and no. No, in the sense that this isn't the original Strelitzia's heart, but a copy. However, does that really matter?
Do you even realize what you are saying? The other Twilight Town is just data.
A heart can live anywhere, even inside data. There are hearts all around us.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Sora. It doesn't matter if it's a copy, it's still Strelitzia's heart. If I told you to guess which copy it is, number 1 or number 2 that I have uploaded, it is impossible for you to guess, because at the end of it all, it's the exact same video, regardless of which one you choose. And of course, yes, this is Strelitzia in the sense that this physically is really Strelitzia's body that has reformed around her heart. The same way that we refer to Roxas, Xion, and Naminé as themselves, even though they are replicas. And again, unless there was information about replicas prior to Vexen, which to my knowledge he was the very first to develop these, Strelitzia is not a replica. That is her actual body that was reformed around her heart. Now, regardless of whether you consider this to actually be the real Strelitzia or not is up to you. All I'm gonna say is if you consider Roxas, Xion, and Naminé as, well, Roxas, Xion, and Naminé, then Strelitzia by and large is Strelitzia as well. And of course, that brings us to the conclusion of another theory video. Did you guys notice in the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer when Sora summoned his Keyblade, there was like this eerie smoke effect that came off of it? I thought that was so cool. I really hope they keep that moving forward. It's the little details and things that really sell things for me personally. But of course, if you like the video, then by all means, like the video. Who knows, maybe the more likes we get, the closer to the next Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer we will be getting. I'm technically not wrong if you think about it. And I'll also link a playlist to my other theory videos. Who knows, there might be something in there you like. I trust you decide, right? And of course, as always, it's been Vel. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later.